Back again. Yeah. Okay. Yes. Okay. Now it's back. All right. Okay. Sorry. I think we are back now.
Yeah, we're back. We're just on the main screen.
Yep. Okay. I just moved it back to the slate. Okay. Now, it was indeed, Adamant, you were onto something, because indeed there was a bit of a hiccup apparently in Mochi's teleportation, because he was on some kind of a sugar high. He didn't quite wind up appearing in the correct part of Igon Town. Instead of appearing in the keep, he appeared in the farmer's market, and he got distracted there by some of the produce. And then he made his way back to the palace. So about an hour later, you all that were waiting for him at the palace, he finally comes back, and he says, "Oh, well, I am sorry, friends, but apparently I had a bit of a mishap with my teleportation. Your friends are safely with the Akki, but on the way back I got distracted and wound up in the farmer's market instead of here in the palace. I am sorry to keep you waiting."
Oh, okay.
Are you all ready to go to the academy?
Yeah.
Okay, Elora, have you had your ginger?
Yeah, but I have many of them now. She pulls out a whole bag of ginger root just in case, but then she pulls out one and sticks a little one in her mouth. She made them into like little tiny like drops now. So she was waiting the hour.
Okay, well, we are going to start a new streak. This will be the first time since I have had a mishap with teleportation. Everybody grab hands.
I'm almost scared at this point in time.
Oyo takes the lady's hands.
And he teleports you all, and you go to the academy, and you wind up, as expected, at Minamo Academy. And so then Elora, I think, was sort of the driver of this train, wanting to come here.
Kind of, just a little bit.
Okay, so where do you guys want to head?
She wants to head down to the people who gave them the slip and slides.
Oh, okay.
I'm guessing before they left, everyone would have gave her back the slip and slides, right?
Yep.
Presumably, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So you make your way back down there, and get to the lab, and the researchers are there, and you come back up, and he goes, "Oh, hello. How are you all doing? It's good to see you again."
Laura smiles and says, "Well, we've been successful with our missions."
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so it worked as intended. That's great. I think I've come up with a small refinement as well. I gave you these that have the sort of rounded bag, and it makes a nice little circular area of ice, but I've been experimenting with trying to create bags that are more square. So
Oh.
maybe it'll give kind of a nice square area. And then I was wondering, maybe if you're trying to do a large area, if you had some of the round ones and some of the square ones, then maybe you could do like a large area that has sort of rounded edges at the corners and straight edges along the sides.
She'll kind of chuckle, not knowing anything what he's saying, but, well, that's a wonderful job. I'm so excited to see it.
Oh, well. We have the little test area out here. Hey, have any of you ever seen what happens when you put these like little metal blades on your shoes and you get on the ice?
Laura will look at the rest, me not knowing whatever that they're talking about.
Inka just shakes her head like, no.
I am assuming that you somehow glide across the ice.
Yes, you do. You do. Well, it's true that yes, you do glide across the ice, and it's true that somehow you glide across the ice. If you're skilled at it, you stay on the little metal blades. If you're not skilled at it, then sometimes you slide across the ice on your shell. Haha. But yeah, I was practicing because I wanted to give a big demonstration. So let me see. I'll show you. And so he takes you out into the lab and he hands each of you a couple of the slip and slide bags. And there's a big circular area that's about 40 feet across. And he says, go ahead and throw them out there. And we'll fill this up with ice.
Laura will listen to him and go along with it.
Okay.
Inka's very hesitant, but follows in Alora's footsteps.
Okay.
All right, I think this will be fun. Noyo follows.
Okay. And so he gets you to throw the bags out and covers this area with ice. And as you throw them down, the ice just sort of spreads out, and when additional bags hit, it just sort of seems like it fills in the area, and it makes a nice smooth sheet of ice that covers the entire area. And then there's a little almost like a pin over there that has benches around the outside of it and little cubbies under each bench. And he goes and he sits down on one of the benches and he pulls his shoes off and he fishes a pair of boots out from underneath the cubby, and it has these little metal blades on them. And he says, there's more sets of these if you want to try them. And he laces up the boots and puts them on. And then he says, okay, here I go.
Huh?
And he goes and he steps out. And he's going to have to make a dexterity check here. And he steps onto the ice and he sort of pushes and his little feet sort of start to wobble, and he's like, whoa, oh, and he looks like he's about to fall down, but then he kind of awkwardly sort of, stretching one arm out one way and his legs sort of threatening to splay out too far, but then he kind of brings them back together, and he wobbles a bit, and he just sort of slowly is sliding across the ice on these skates towards the other side. And after he kind of recovers to a bit of an equilibrium, he looks around. Ha 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 ha! See, I'm doing it. Ha 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 ha!
Laura kind of chuckles and says, "For once, you guys are gonna enjoy the fun, party poopers." And she kind of tries and puts them on.
Okay.
And joins him to go dancing around.
Okay.
Inca Go ahead.
Make me a dexterity check. You guys are.
All of us.
Oh. Well, Elora's the only one who said that she's putting them on. With a 4. With a 4 on the dexterity check, Elora steps one foot down, and she's like, "Oh, this is not so bad." And then she puts the other foot down, and she starts to try to push off a little bit. And she doesn't realize how slippery this ice is going to be on these little blades. And she just, boom, and she falls down on her butt. No damage or anything, but you just
who's
crash down.
At her?
I give Oyahus a little slight slap on the side of his arm. Be nice. I don't see you out there yet.
Yo finishes putting on his blades, and he just.
And I'll sit down and put on a pair of mine.
He jumps on out there.
Okay, so make a dexterity check.
Okay.
I'm not too far behind him.
They just weren't on correctly.
Dexterity check, not a save, or is it
correct? Yeah, just go ahead and click on the dex.
Acrobatics. Okay.
Yeah, you could do an acrobatics if you wanted to. 20 is fine. Yeah.
Athletics.
No, this would be
Nope.
more acrobatics
Okay.
because it has to do with balance more than strength. Oh.
I take to it like a swan to water.
Yeah. Elora sort of looks a little bit disheartened as Oyo sort of steps out on the ice and makes it kind of look effortless, and he just sort of glides along, and maybe he reaches a hand out towards Elora as though he's going to help her up, and then he just kind of lazily spins around. But Oyo, you feel your cheeks redden a little bit as you see Inca just sort of go zooming out of the
Delicate
out of this
and
area,
graceful.
and she swerves past you, and she starts making these long, sweeping, graceful arcs around the edge of this area. And she goes by and she grabs a hold of the Akki researcher, and she just sort of spins him around, and he's like, whoa, 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 whoa. And then he starts laughing. And he says, "Oh, you're very good at this. Have you done this before?"
Actually, no. This is my first time.
Oh my goodness. Well, I guess we see who the graceful one in your group is.
Actually, it would be that one over there, and she points to Oyahusa.
Like,
And usually Alora is even more graceful. I just don't think her skate was tied on correctly.
Reaches down to give a handout to Laura.
It was
So
just luck of
kindly
the
take
bard.
Oya pulls her up.
I have no luck.
And she wants to try this again.
okay. All right. If you are holding on to Oyahusa's hand, I'll give you advantage on your dexterity check.
Woohoo!
Okay.
Okay. So you
I
have an
shall help you.
11. Whoops. I'm sorry.
Nope,
You have an
that's it.
11, and the 11 is good enough. You feel a little bit wobbly, like the Akki researcher, but you're fine now. If you hold on to Oyo's hand for another few seconds, you feel like you'll kind of get your balance, and then you can sort of try it on your own. Or you can just keep holding on to Oyo's hand. It's up to you.
She'll keep holding on to Oya's hand just to make sure that she's okay.
Okay. All right.
So I kind of look at the guy and at the inventor and go, well, you have something here. Definitely could be used as a entertainment of sorts for the upper echelon.
Yes, that's what we were hoping. The academy likes to have dances for the students, and some of the students say that, well, it just feels a little old-fashioned to do dancing like it's always been done. So I was thinking that if we let everybody wear these boots while they were dancing, and they were out on the ice,
Giving them time to learn first, because you give them all of these blades to put on the bottom of their boots and set them out onto the ice, you're going to have accidents that include bleeding, most likely.
oh, we certainly don't want that. So maybe you're right. And so he says, tell me a little bit more about what you would recommend.
As she's skating backwards past him.
Yeah. and so he'll just sort of pick your brain for a little bit.
Okay. And I'll talk to him about maybe they could make a big flat area, or if there's one already, and putting these out and inviting people to come try this, but keeping it limited to like 5 or 10 at a time in this big area.
And he's thinking about that, and
possibly hire some of the people that show real aptitude to help guide the others that aren't so steady.
nearly makes him fall. And then he starts jotting down notes. He kind of goes over to the side and sort of leans up against the wall and starts jotting down notes. What you're saying. Laura
You might
and
also want
Oyo.
to.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, you might also want to find possibly maybe somewhere else, another dimension, a northern climate culture that may actually have something very similar that they would be willing to come and teach.
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea.
I think didn't Tamayo and I come across something like that?
Yeah, I'm sure you did.
And so I will say, oh yes, and if you go to blah 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 place, and you go, X number of miles this way, and whatever, you'll come across a big castle, blah, blah, blah. And if I remember correctly from years ago, this is something they did as their pastime. You might find somebody there willing to come and teach. And then hold a ball later, after everybody's had a chance to learn.
Oh, yeah. That's a great idea. Cultural exchange. I like it. Then he sort of busily starts scribbling notes. And the camera sort of pivots over to where Elora is still trying to catch her balance, holding on to Oyahus' hand.
Her cheek is gonna go red because of the cold feeling of the ice. Or that's what everyone seems to know.
Aww.
She's embarrassed that she wasn't as good as skating as she thought she was going to be because she invited everyone else here.
So she kind of wobbles again and almost falls, and right?
Probably she would wobble here and there.
Oyahus just makes sure she stays upright. And he kind of laughs, says he's starting to have a little bit of fun. And he says, "No, look. Do this." And he kind of like shows her. He kind of like bends down on the knees a little bit. It's all about the balance. Now you try. And he like lets go of her hand, and he kind of like slides out a couple of feet in front of her and turns around. Stops.
Oh no. Okay, now I'm better at it. Yay!
Yeah. Now, just a little bit of guidance like that, and okay, that's all it was. And you start to realize, okay, you were fighting it a little bit too much. It's more of a just sort of flow into it instead of trying to be too much in control of it.
Laura kind of gives him a big, huge smile and says, look!
I know, I see. You're doing great. Isn't she doing great, Inka?
Yes,
As he
she
kinda
is.
yells
It's
over his shoulder.
wonderful.
As she comes and rolls over and gives Oyahus a hug and says, thank you, I did it! As she goes over to the, what's his name? Shell dude.
Yeah, the Akki.
Yeah, the Akki, and says, look at me! And she tries and does like a little tiny spin of sorts, but trying not to show off because she knows that she'll fall if she tries.
And he says, "Ha! Oh, that's great. I wish I could do that. I have to have more practice. Your friend had a good idea. We're going to try to go find some people that are more used to this and have them come and give the students some lessons."
Practice makes perfect after all, isn't that right? And she kind of puts her hands on her hips, proud of herself, and then she wobbles again. She's like, oh, okay, never mind, I'm sorry.
Practice makes perfect. Practice makes perfect. There might be something to that. I've always found that if you keep trying to mix different things together, eventually you find something that doesn't blow up and does something useful.
Laura's eyes will go wide, like, uh-oh.
At this time, he would like to start trying to do like a series of like very difficult maneuvers, like doing maybe some front flips, back flips, some
crazy monk crap.
No, just like something like a professional ice skater would be doing, for a show. He's just out there like having a good time, testing his balance.
Okay, well that's going to be a significantly higher DC for your acrobatics check, but you can try it if you want to.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so what's the first maneuver you try?
He just kind of like goes into. He just kind of does a front flip, lands on the skates.
Yeah. Yeah. So Inca and Elora, you see Oyahusa, he begins to pick up some speed and he starts to go. And then it looks almost like he catches the front of his skate, and you're certain that he's just going to go face first into the ice. But instead, he leaps up, tucks his legs, does a front somersault in the air, extends his legs, and lands back on his skates and keeps going. And then he just sort of looks at you all and gives you that little wink and a grin.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And with 26, you've got a couple of other maneuvers you can try before you have to make another check. That was a really good check.
He just kind of goes into like some, I don't know, like the one leg spin extensions, and just kind of like he's just having a good time. He's just out there doing,
Okay.
Some crazy shit.
All right. So now, Inca and Elora, you clearly realize that now Oyahusa is just showing off.
Mm-hmm.
But he looks happy.
And he looks very pleased with himself.
Mm-hmm.
Laura will look over at Inca and give like a little rolly eyes, but she'll be smiling very happily anyway.
Hmm.
Do you want to try it? I want to try it. As Laura smiles and she tries and does like a spin flip. It's
Ooh.
probably gonna end badly.
Okay.
Definitely
Oh,
is.
yeah. You go and you start to try to spin, and you wobble, and Elora tumbles down. And Inca, what are you trying?
Just picking up a little speed, maybe trying to go from skating forwards to backwards quickly.
Okay. You do that little thing where you sort of hop and do a 180-degree turn, and when you do, you realize that your weight is a little bit wrong, and what you thought was going to be a nice smooth transition becomes a very awkward whoa. So you sort of flail your arms a little bit. You don't go crashing to the ground, or you don't go crashing to the ice, but you do sort of wind up finding yourself just footing up against the side wall and railing, and you wind up having to grab onto the railing and steady yourself to keep from falling down. So that didn't quite go.
Too quickly.
Didn't quite go as planned.
At that time, Oyo, who says like he's like skating towards her, and he's like, "Oh my goodness, are you all right?"
Yes, I'm all right.
And he just skates past her, and he's looking at Laura the whole time.
Laura's on her
she
butt.
slides a boot out right
okay.
in front of him, just enough.
Well, he just innocently, he's like, "Oh, Laura's behind you." He sees her busted. He's like, "Oh my goodness."
Okay, so now we know that I'm going to allow Oyo his passive perception, but what I would like you to do is I would like you to make a stealth check, Inca, to see if you can get your boot out there. Nope, not good enough.
I want to use my inspiration.
Oh, 26. Well, okay, no. If you're using your inspiration, it would be
then
the
I get
26
the 26.
there.
Okay.
She still fails.
I don't think so.
Yep. This level, my passive went up to 28.
Oh my goodness.
Really?
Okay. All right.
Hey.
All right. So yeah, you see that he says, "Oh, are you all right?" And he's not even
check that.
not even looking at you. And you're like, I'll fix his little red wagon. And as you stick your foot out, he just sort of pirouettes right around your leg. And, just sort of nonchalantly.
Yeah.
And avoids it.
He slides over and like does a quick like slide on the ice, and it goes whoosh, cuts some ice off, and he reaches down and goes to help Laura.
Laura, a little spray of ice chips flies over you.
Is she hurt?
Laura
no,
looks up
no.
at him and gives him
Her pride may be hurt, but
her pride is definitely hurt. She thought she was doing good, and now she fell again. But that won't stop her. She says, okay, again, one more try.
No, Laura, please. You have to crawl before you walk.
Laura kind of looks at her and says, well, I want to do it again. And she kind of tries and gets up on her own. She puts her hands in between her legs and tries and like pushes herself up in the air and kind of like then does a starfish and then kind of wibble wobbles and then fixes herself and says, see, I'm good. And I want to do fast and spin like a tornado. Watch, I'm going to do it this time.
And Inka's just leaning against the handrail or the edge, just going, oh, this isn't going to end good.
Just looks over at Inka like, okay.
Laura just cast whirlwind on herself.
She kind of like stops and thinks of how she's going to do it before she actually does it. And she's like trying to take the measurements and everything else as she goes ahead, skates a little bit, gets a little bit more comfortable, and then tries and does a fast spin. And it did not work.
Yeah, this time as you go into the spin, there's a little bit of a painful twist in your ankle. You don't take any hit point damage, and you don't have any kind of lingering injury, but it's just you get a stinger in your ankle from that, and you collapse in a heap, and your foot feels like it's gonna swell up, and it's gonna hurt for a while.
It's Oyo's over there just like laughing and like holding his hand over his mouth, probably having a good chuckle with Inka.
Teary-eyed.
Inka does not laugh. In fact, she looks over at Oyo and gives him that slight lowered head, looking at him like if imaginary, librarian's glasses, like, I would not do that if I were you.
Oh, pain is a good teacher, no?
It is also, embarrassment is also a good way to make enemies.
She'll be fine.
Mm-hmm.
She has to learn somehow.
Well, the fact that we probably won't be doing this for very long, or possibly for quite a while, you could be a little more sympathetic.
As they're talking, she kind of checks her ankle and she kind of crawls to the side of the ice.
Yeah.
Away from them.
Yeah, you would be able to get up and sort of gingerly make your way over there, but you're probably not going to be able to do any kind of other maneuvers today. You feel like I'm going to need to let this ankle heal up a little bit before I do anything else exciting like this.
Oh yeah, just kind of like he looks at her and he's like, no, please try again.
Nora kind of huffs and says, no, I don't think I will. My ankle hurts.
We have been skating for quite a while, and perhaps we rest. When do we go back, you think?
Well, I guess he just wanted to show us the new ones that he made. That's it, I guess. So we can go meet up with everyone else now. She kind of like paws at her foot a bit, trying to see if it's like gonna work.
And he says, well, if you all are getting ready to go, Lady Inca, do you have a few minutes? Could you come to my office? I'd like to go over some ideas with you, and talk a little bit more about this place that you went. Will you two be okay here? He
Nora will
says
nod
to-
her head.
Okay, so then Inca,
Mm-hmm.
he will sort of come off of the ice and change his boots, and then he'll sort of start talking your ear off as he begins to lead you out of this area and sort of into his office area, which is over there.
She almost looks like she's sending this me look.
And that will leave Elora and Oyo there for a moment. Before we get to that, we'll switch back over to the keep, and with Galabar and with Adamant, and you guys are over there talking with the Duke's men, and the Duke will tell you while the engineers are getting the refinery machines going with the sludge, he'll tell you that he has had a sending from some of the people. I believe you mentioned the Temple of Gond that you had talked to about the Akki.
The Temple of Gond and the Temple of Moradin.
Yeah. So he's had a sending from somebody at the Temple of Gond, and that he expects that within the next 10 days or so, they will be sending a delegation.
Good.
From the Temple of Gond here. There was some introductions by way of kind of a telepathic or sending communications. There was introductions to he says someone called the Blackstaff. She sounds like a nice lady, but kind of a weird name if you ask me. She asked for something that she could scry so that they could get a good fix for teleportation here. So we gave her one of the smaller halls that they could scry on, and we've got a teleportation circle that we usually use in there anyway. So that'll let them get a nice fix on it.
All right. And Blackstaff is a title.
Oh, it's a title. Okay. That's interesting. And she must be like some kind of sorcerer or something.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
The Blackstaff Tower is run by mages.
Oh, I see. So it's like an arcane. Is it like an arcane laboratory or an arcane library or what?
All of the above.
Oh, well, that would be something interesting to behold. I'll have to see if I have some engineers that would be interested in going and visiting with them. Actually, the more I think about it, I'll probably have to weed out the number of people that would want to go and visit a place like that. I have to figure out who might be the most suited for that. What would you recommend? What are the qualities that would ingratiate our people to them? Do they appreciate bold and reckless experimentation?
They tend to be a little more cautious than the ones from Ravnica.
Oh, cautious.
Yes, the magic in our plane can be rather devastating if not used properly.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and I take it from the way your friends look. And he kind of leans in to Adam and whispers a little bit. I take it that they don't have their own armor like you and I do.
Galabar here is armored by his muscles.
Yeah,
Actually,
but the other...
Galabar actually does. He is covered in hard plate scales now, so.
Well, it's reinforced by the muscle.
Yeah, he says, yeah, but the other ones are your friends. If you don't mind my saying, they kind of look a little squishy to me.
Oh, they are.
Okay, well, if everybody there is like that, then I understand why they would be a little bit more careful. Okay, that'll be a good test. I'll from the people that want to go, I'll just select the most careful of the researchers. Good. All right. We don't want to offend our hosts.
And the ones who are most willing to learn and be open-minded.
Oh, okay. Well, I think we all appreciate the discovery of knowledge, but I'll make sure that we screen for that.
Galabar will ask, would you guys happen to have a book about the Dragon Guardians that I could bring back to the Temple of Bahamut?
Oh, book about the Dragon Guardians. Oh, let me send somebody to the library and see if we have an extra copy of something. And yes, if we do, we'll be glad to let you have one. And so he sends somebody off. They go running down to the library.
The Dragon Guardians seem to know about Bahamut and Tiamat, so I'm sure the Temple of Bahamut and Waterdeep would be interested in knowing more about them.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's good. Yeah. Hopefully that would be something that another opportunity for cultural exchange, as you say. And so eventually they'll get back, and I believe, I can't remember when you guys were back at the at Iganjo Keep and doing the research. I can't remember who was looking at the books on dragons or on the dragons. Okay, one of those that you had access to, they've got an extra copy of it here, and so they'll give that to you. So among the ones that you have, Chris, you can just pick one of them and say, okay, we've got an extra copy of that one. Whatever you think might be most appropriate for them. So they'll let you take one of those.
Well,
all right.
I'll add that into my bag of holding, and I'll keep a reminder to give that to the people of the Paladins of Bahamut when I go to talk to them.
Okay. All right. And then we do the patented George Lucas circular wipe, and we go back to the little hall where the circular hall that's filled with ice, and there we find Oyahuse and Elora changing their boots.
Laura probably covered in, like, not ice, not water, but kind of a mixture as her clothes are like, ugh, wet. She turns to Oyo and say, how about we go somewhere warmer, not so cold and sticky?
Well, it's so beautiful out there, and we are near the garden. Well, perhaps we should go there and have a picnic and hot tea.
Should we tell Inka where we're going? But I guess
sure.
she'll find us.
Indeed. I wouldn't mind a hot cup of tea right now myself. Come. And
she'll shrug her shoulders. She'll follow him outside to wherever he wanted to go.
And Elora is only limping slightly.
Yep.
Oh yeah, he would see someone, I guess a servant or at least a waiter or whatever you want to call him, and then he would just be like, bring us some hot cookies or cakes and a little bit of finger food snacks. Maybe some egg salad sandwiches.
Very well, my lord.
We will be in the garden amongst the cherry blossoms.
And they nod, and they walk off that way, and you head over that way, and you find yourself in this nice little garden, a little area that has some very beautiful shrubs, and the cherry trees are there, and I think they told you the last time that you were here that there's a little bit of like a minor magical glamour here that keeps the cherry trees in bloom all year round. And so there's a few of the little snowy petals there on the ground, but the trees are kind of filled with the blossoms, and just a nice scent of cherry blossoms in the air. A little chirping of the birds and things like that.
Elora, would you like to use your tea set? I don't know if you noticed, but when you used it earlier for the first time, it had a peculiar magical effect on the pot. Did you notice?
Laura will kind of like look at him like, huh? What are you talking about? But she pulls out her tea set and she does what he asked. Just questionably. What do you mean, magical effects?
Oyo reaches in his bag and he pulls out his tea satchels and he goes through his teas and, oh yes, I think this and that and a little bit of this will do nicely. And he's mixing a tea that has a little bit of herbs and whatnot in it that has inflammation reduction properties and natural painkiller and kind of a pleasant, upbeat, maybe something a little bit that gives a little bit of energy. And he puts it in the pot and he touches the pot and look, it's self-heating.
Laura's like amazed at it as she looked at it and says, really? As she kind of like pours a little bit of tea on her finger off the side and tries and sees if it's warm or not. Would it be warm by this time?
It gets
or not?
It gets hot pretty fast, Callie.
Yeah, I mean I kind of let you describe
It's
that.
it's hot when you touch it. I mean, it is. It's like
Would you
cold to hot.
say it takes a minute, takes a couple of rounds? What would you say?
Oh, it takes
Time-wise.
probably about 30 seconds.
Okay, so about 5 rounds to heat up.
To where it starts getting hot enough to start making steam, and then it probably takes about another 30 seconds or so to finally come right to a boil.
Moore kind of smiles and says, "You're right. It is already hot.
Yes,
Last time I did put up a little fire and everything, but if it's self-heating, then I just did it for nothing." She
I
kind of laughs at herself.
sort of forgot to tell you about it.
Well, it just makes it even more amazing now, doesn't it?
See, you put your finger on this cherry blossom right here, and you slightly rub it, and then it will heat up for you. And then you unrub it again, and it will shut off.
And she'll look at her with amaze, and she'll do it just to see, and it works. And she's amazed still. And she'll take a sip of her tea and say, "It is very relaxing. One of my favorite things about up here is the trees. Who can say no to these beautiful trees, no?"
It reminds me of home. It is true. I do find it rather tranquil.
What is back home, if you don't mind me asking? Why
What
would
is-
you want to go back there?
A bit of a long story, I'm afraid.
You just kind of perk up and just wait for him to tell her. Well, I think Ink is going to be busy for a little bit while, so I think we have time.
I come from an area far to the east. It is called the Karatur. It's basically like Waterdeep is in Faerun. I come from there. It is a very magical and superstitious land, full of mystics and magic, strange creatures and spirits.
Mm-hmm.
It would be quite foreign to you.
She kind of gives out a little chuckle. Everything's foreign to me, Oyohusa. You know this. What family do you have back home?
Outside of character, I can't remember. Did I have an uncle, Gally, or was it just a? I can't remember.
I believe there was someone that you referred to as an uncle, but he was one of the monks and he wasn't an actual blood relative. I think that's what you had in your in
Yes.
your background.
I have an uncle, if you will, but we are not blood related, as far as I know. And he raised me in a monastery in the mountains, near a great forest.
A great forest of blossoms? Cherry blossoms?
Yes, there were cherry blossoms at the monastery. The gardens are quite beautiful and extensive. One of my masters is, how do I say, believes that It is a art form, and is one path to enlightenment and peace. Perhaps someday I will take you there, and I will have Master Shifi show you.
Or kind of gives out a soft chuckle again. She kind of like plays with his hair while he's talking in the meantime of between taking sips of her tea just to keep herself busy. I feel like everyone would enjoy going there. It's so tranquil and relaxing, like you said.
About this time, just the food and snacks arrive, or
Oh yeah. Somebody will come and discreetly
Are you
lay those out.
Oyahusa?
oh, look, our snacks have arrived. He looks at the waiter.
So, will there be anything else, my lord, my lady?
I need nothing. How about you, Alora?
She'll think for a moment.
Big
Nope, I'm pretty good.
Very well. And then they turn and they head off again, leaving you guys alone with the cherry blossoms and the food.
Oh,
And the
reaches
birds.
for a slice of egg salad sandwich. It's
You know,
quite
your
good.
hair is quite messy. Unlike this egg sandwich, it's delicious. She kind of teases Oyahusa and reaches for the egg sandwich and eats the other half of it.
What do you mean my hair is messy?
Your hair's so tangled, it isn't taken care of very well.
Well, I haven't. I ran out of a mixture that I use some time ago, and
Terrible?
yes, it's a concoction that one puts in their hair to clean it and keep it styled, if you will.
Well, if you tell me some of the properties, maybe I can duplicate it or help you find some.
I never bothered to investigate. I get it from a friend who is a prominent trader in Waterdeep.
Ah. And she kind of nods her head and finishes eating her sandwich, wiping her hands before swallowing down a few things of tea.
She eats a hot cookie. And Oyo kind of just sits back and leans back.
She'll go to braid his hair again, but then this time she'll kind of sniff the air. Kind of smelling the cookies, smelling the Oyahusa scent that he normally wears. And after the fresh burst of the cherry blossoms blowing around, she kind of can't help herself as she kind of goes into Oyahusa's after like brushing his hair a bit more, and she kind of instinctively goes and bites his ear.
Oyo's about to
Well,
talk.
alright then.
He starts to talk about more about his homeland, and then that happened, and he's like, "Whoa!" And he kind of like jumps up and he turns around real quick. He's like,
She had a hold of his shoulder and wanted his hair to kind of like inch herself up, but then whenever he turns around, she instantly lets go, and this look at her eye just changed so fast that he might have simply got a glance of something different. As she kind of, sorry.
"Wait, gonna do an insight check."
Okay, and you do an insight check, and Laura, you're trying to avoid him detecting your
Detecting the
Your
look in her eye. Yeah.
So then you do a deception check, and it'll be opposed. Oh no! Clearly, Oyo, you can see. Oh, what kind of look was Elora trying to hide?
The type of look Elora had in her eyes is more controlling, almost, as you could say, lustful. As she kind of like had her eyes fixated, like so focused and so in the moment, almost like a drow would normally look. But once you said something, her eyes reverted back to normal and she got kind of pushed away.
It's that moment, like, who comes to realize that she had this lustful look in her eyes, and also he's hit with the sudden realization that
Inka was right.
she kind of like bit and licked his ear, and he kind of liked it, and that just kind of puts him off immediately. And it's like, Elora, what has gotten into you?
Laura's kind of like
Strange
shaking.
lately, especially
Shaking
today.
She's kind of shaking at this point, kind of looking at Oihusa, kind of like almost like hugging herself, like hurling herself up, and says, I swear I didn't mean to. I don't know what got over me. I just smelled something about you, and it kind of I just eased and relaxed, and I guess I'm sorry.
I must be frank. I am caught off guard. What is this? Something to do with your drow nature?
She kind of takes a moment to think and says, well, in a way, when drow like someone, they kind of do bite their ears.
I'm sorry, what?
Laura's face at this point goes bright red, and she's like,
Wait, what does that mean when... Oh, this is a strange custom. Explain.
well, it's exactly what I said. Whenever drows, you know the thing about drows, right?
No, I've never really learned much about the drow culture, except from you. I enjoyed our talks, but please explain.
Laura's face goes completely brighter red. And she doesn't feel like she can explain it with confidence, but she tries her best as she kind of like covers her face and can't look you in her eyes whenever she says it. Female drows normally bite the male's ears to assert their dominance.
Like, Oyo's eyes kind of blink a little bit. He's like, so all this is rushing in on him at once, and he's like, what the he's a little taken back, and then it dawns on him that, like, oh shit, what if Inka's right? What if Adamant was right?
It's
And he's like,
for consent in a way.
By the gods, like, I'm shocked.
And with that, there's a group of other students that you can suddenly start to hear laughter, and there's a group of human students, several male students and several female students, and they're kind of chasing each other around through some of these different little areas of the garden, and they come racing into the little space where the two of you have been sitting kind of off to the side, and one of them trips and sprawls in the grass, and a couple of the others, they just start laughing and they fall down in the grass, and they start rolling around and just sort of playfully punching at each other. And when I was like, give it back, and they're all just laughing hilariously, and they seem oblivious to the fact that the two of you are there. And now there's this chaos, this momentary chaos that's in there. And with that,
Oyo is like, he's still holding onto her hands, and he didn't realize he was, and then he just like awkwardly like looks down, it lets her hands go, and then all this commotion to our right starts happening.
I think it's a good time to go.
Yes, perhaps Inka's waiting on that.
Yeah, and Inka, you went in and you talked with the researcher, and you thought maybe he was going to have a couple of questions, but a couple turned into 5, and 5 turned into 10, and 10 turned into about 25. And there was a couple of stories punctuated in there, and he kind of always seems to be losing track. And so it seems like you've been there for at least an hour, and you think, oh my gosh, they're going to kill me when I get back from here, because they've been waiting all this time. But you step back out and they're not there, and you start to go along and you ask somebody, and somebody will tell you, oh yes, some time ago I saw them. They were heading out towards the gardens where the cherry blossoms are. And as you walk out, you hear this cackling laughter of students coming from from beyond this little walled area, where there's kind of these little garden, almost meditation niches, but they're larger than a niche. They're probably 10 yards across each, and there's some trees around and whatnot. And you hear that coming from there. And as you kind of are stepping in that direction, from the other side of that garden, walking out, you see Elora, followed by Oyahusa, and they're walking a little bit. They're walking a little bit faster than is necessarily necessarily required, and like, each of them kind of has this look on their face like, what just happened?
Is like Laura like quite a ways in front of Oyo? She's just like walking awkwardly fast.
Yeah, so she's kind of like, hey guys, wait up.
Oh, hey, there's Inka.
Inka. We were just looking
for God, don't let somebody like that pull me aside to ask me more questions. Oh my God, it was like a torture fest.
Laura kind of looks confused, like, oh.
I look at Elora. I thought it was going to be a couple of questions, and now I've got. She's just kind of like, oh, I need a nap.
We just got done having a nice picnic. I saved some little egg salad sandwiches for you and some cookies.
Oh, bless you. I'm kind of hungry. And can I do a little bit of a check just to see if I notice anything?
You can do it. You can do an insight
language?
check. Yeah, do an insight check on either Oyo or on Elora.
Elora's still shaking and her cheeks are still reddish, but her shaking has gone a lot down since Oyahusa kind of.
I think once I've done the insight check on one,
who are
I'll
you?
Look at the other.
Yeah. Who would you be doing first?
We'll start with Oyahusa.
All right, I'm gonna roll deception.
Okay.
Oh,
Well,
I
she
get-
matches, so her check will succeed.
But just barely. It's kind of like
Just barely.
There's something
And
funky here. And then look at
well,
Allura.
it's more like this, Inca. It's more like there's a look of recognition in Oyahusa's eyes, and you're like, yeah, now he's finally seen it. Is kind of what you get. So now you can check Allura as well.
Okay. Can I use a 27? Or do I have to?
I guess you already probably have advantage on that.
You already used.
Yep. Oh, what a cheater!
Wow.
Oh my goodness!
When it comes to battles, my dice hate me. But outside of that, I'm starting to learn that they're like, oh.
Yeah. You look at.
Book.
Yeah, Allura, and you're like, oh, that's why he knows. She's just kind of gone, and something's happened. You'll definitely have to have a girl-to-girl chat with her later and figure out exactly what happened. But you know the jig is up now, and they both are unmistakably aware that there's something there.
Okay, so she's just kind of like she tries to school her face so that she's not really giving anything away as far as
okay.
Hey,
now you make a deception check, and this is just against the passive perception.
Well, he's got a freaking passive perception of what 28. I can't beat it. I really can't.
She can't. Nope.
But Allura, yeah. So Allura is oblivious, but you get that look from Oyo is kind of, yeah, I know you know.
I'll kind of cock an eyebrow at him just slightly.
If she's
then
rolling
look away.
deception, it would be passive insight, not passive perception.
Oh, passive insight.
Yeah, that is a thing. But
is it on the character sheets?
No. It's like passive investigation. It also isn't, but it's also a thing. But it would still be an insight check.
Which would be your wisdom plus proficiency? Is that it?
It's okay.
So because whatever.
To me, it's perception is kind of taking in everything around you.
Okay. So anyway, yeah, you figure that out. All right. So you guys at the academy, it's not long before you find Mochi more or less where he left you, and which was near the cafeteria. And he's kind of talking to the people in the dining hall. And you can tell when you walk up, he's describing these donuts that he's had at the palace. And and he actually has a couple of them left. And you see he's showing them to them, and then he starts to describe how they taste, and when he describes how they taste, he pops one into his mouth. And then you all come up, and he's like, "Oh, hello there, friends. Have you completed the business you wanted to do here?"
Yes, we have. We are ready to join the rest of our allies.
Oh, wonderful. And Laura, I see you have had plenty of your ginger, but if you feel a need to refresh it, I guess we will be ready to travel whenever you are.
Nora will smile and she'll put a little bit of ginger root in her mouth and say, "Let's go. Let's go."
And then he looks at the people that are there in the kitchen staff, and he looks at you all, and he smiles, and he says, "Well, we've had one successful teleportation since the last issue. All right, everybody, hold hands." And he teleports you successfully to the keep in up high in the mountains. And when you all arrive, you see Galabar and Adamant standing there, and next to them there are a couple of small barrels that have like the Akki, sort of the seal of the Akki Duke on them. And Adamant and Galabar, you know that these are barrels that are filled with the oil that you all have needed that has been refined. And you all have your books. And Adamant, was there anything else you wanted to discuss with the Akki while you were here?
No, I don't think I have anything else.
Okay. And as you guys are all standing there and the new arrivals are exchanging pleasantries with the Akki, Mochi will take his leave of you, and he will teleport away after he wishes you all a safe journeys, and he hopes that you will come back and tell him more of your adventures, and especially bring him any examples of sweets that you can find on other planes that he may like. And he wants you to. Oh, go ahead.
I will, as he's starting to say his goodbyes, I will give him, a deeper bow of honor and thank him very much for his part in all of this and helping to bring this all to a quick conclusion. But then I will also kind of speak more softly and say, and if you see Tamayo, would you let her know that I'm looking for her?
Oh, yes.
Or at least have her leave me a letter. She seems to have gone off and, of course, does not leave me any way of communicating with her.
Oh, that is a shame. Well, yes, I will tell her next time I see her. That seems a little rude. Well,
she's probably busy, but I would at least like to catch up with her somehow.
Well, yes, I will make sure that I get a message to her.
Oh, good.
I know her older sister. And her older sister
She has
will.
an older sister, huh?
Yes, she does. An older sister who will scold her for forgetting her manners.
Gotcha. All right. Well, thank you.
Oh, you are welcome. And thank you again, friends, for all that you have done. It is so nice to be in Kamigawa without conflict again. I can now go visit. I now have more friends that I can go visit across the plain, and hopefully I can meet some more and find out some of the delicacies that they have from their kitchens.
Oh boy. Adamant pats Mochi on the head. It has been a pleasure meeting you.
Oh, it's a pleasure meeting you too, Adamant. Everyone take care. Duke, thank you for your hospitality. And the Duke says, "Oh, yeah, sure. You like sweets, eh? Well, I'll have them work on something in the kitchen. So if you come back next week, maybe we'll have something new that you can try. And he says, "Oh, I will do that." And then he waves again, and he winks out, and he travels to Wince, whoever knows where. And it's not long before we do a die roll here. And so it's not long before Oyahusa, you receive a sending. And this sending is from someone quite familiar. The sending is from Lady Silverhand in Waterdeep. And she says, or she indicates, I'm not going to give it word for word, she indicates they've heard from the allies in Kamigawa that Adamant and Galabar have secured the oil. Let her know when you are all together, and the Black Staff will be sending someone to bring you back to Waterdeep.
Thank you for letting us know. I will tell the others, and we graciously will wait your arrival.
Okay, and you indicate... Oh, go ahead.
How long would you say it's been since I've been in Waterdeep?
Probably... you were traveling around with Tamio for what, about 10 years? Is that what we said?
Yeah.
It was probably about 7 years ago. Okay. So in the timeline of Waterdeep, when you were there, Lord Neverember was still the open lord of Waterdeep. The cult of the dragon had not arisen, and the death curse and all that kind of stuff had not happened. And then by the time this campaign started, all of that stuff had happened and was over with.
Okay.
So you were there before all that happened. They left there after all that happened.
Gotcha.
And then obviously that was long before the...
Not the same.
Yeah.
In a big way.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and I guess Oyo probably indicates that everybody is together at the moment. And it's not long before Vadra Safar herself teleports into...
Before that, Galabar is going to cast a spell, Disguise Self, to make himself look like he did before this change.
Oh, okay. All right. So you disguise self. Vadra Safar teleports in, and she has with her, she has two priests of Gond, one priest of Moradin, and two members of the Izzet League, one gnome and one goblin. And they arrive with her, and she smiles in seeing you all, and then she looks to the Akki, and I'm not even going to make you guys roll any perception checks. It's clear that when she sees the Akki, her eyes kind of widen a little bit, like, "Whoa, never seen anybody look like that before." And of course, the goblin member of the Is It League looks and just sort of he kind of does a double take at the goblins, and he kind of looks a question at you guys, but he doesn't say anything. And the dwarves and the gnomes, they kind of stand up a little bit straighter, and the Blackstaff will greet the Duke. The Duke will greet the Blackstaff. She introduces the people that are with them and says that this is a scientific delegation requesting permission to begin some time with the Akki to learn more about their technology and the way magic works here, and of course they will share information about the technology from Waterdeep and Ravnica and the way magic works there. And the Duke is all excited about that, of course, and a bunch of the Akki, they come out and they're all excited about this too. And so they seem like they're all happy with that. And there's a little bit of conversation, and she thanks the Duke and his engineers for their role in helping you guys secure the oil that you need, and that this is going to be a very helpful in the struggle that they have back on their world. And so he seems keenly interested and very glad to have been of service. And he recounts briefly how you guys helped Kamigawa with a bunch of their problems, and that the work that you did fixed their machines so that they would begin working properly again. And so now he can give them a full tour and show how everything works here. And they're all happy with that. And then the Blackstaff will turn to you all and say, "Well, I know it's been a long time since you've been home, and you should be happy to know that at the shipyards they have been making some progress on constructing the drill rig, and since the drill rig is where we need the oil, we thought we just might bring you straight back to Waterdeep and avoid having to cart this stuff from plane to plane." Are you all ready to return?
Very much so. I have missed my mother dearly.
I've kind of turned a little bit to Galabar and go, "Struggle? What is he talking about? What struggle?" Well,
we
never
will have
mind.
to explain that.
It will take some time, Inga.
There was an attack on Waterdeep of the Kith and the Red Dragons, and now we're dealing with a bunch of crap.
Okay.
We will explain everything in detail, I assure you.
All right. Okay.
And kind of raises his hand a bit. Lady Blackstaff.
Yes, Adamant.
I was supposed to meet with a guild leader in Rath. If he were to agree, would you be able to bring him to Waterdeep?
Well, one of the leaders of the guilds, we would probably have to clear that with Lady Silverhand, but I don't see any reason why we couldn't arrange for you to visit Ravnica. but I was sent to bring you to Waterdeep. You can.
Oh no, I was asking if we could have him brought to Waterdeep.
Yes, as I said, for someone that is the leader of one of the guilds, that would be akin to a state visit, which would require a, bit of pomp and circumstance, or at least Lady Silverhand would give me the rough side of her tongue if I deigned to invite someone without making sure that all of the authorities in Waterdeep had not been alerted to roll out the red carpet, as you will, for a visiting dignitary.
Well, it's a new day. I can do a couple of sendings. Raises an eyebrow. Well,
why don't you go talk to Lady Silverhand herself when we get to Waterdeep, and you can discuss the matter with her.
All right. Fair enough.
And so she makes sure that everybody else is ready. And when they are, she'll have everybody link hands. And the Akki kind of all, they poke their heads over the crenellations on the walls and out of some of the windows and everything. And they all sort of do that thing at the end of the Beverly Hillbillies episode where they're all sitting there and waving at you guys. And
y'all come back now, you hear?
and the black staff sort of does the little thing with her staff and does the incantation for teleport, and you all find yourselves standing on a teleportation circle in the ground floor of Blackstaff Tower, back in Waterdeep. And those of you that are from Toril, the unmistakable air and feeling of home. For those of you that for which Toril is a place you've either never been before or you've only visited, okay, it's time for a new adventure.
Okay, Galabar, after they're done teleporting, he's going to look at the black staff, and he's going to say, I do have one question. In the gladiator pits, has there been a rise of a new champion in my stead?
And she looks at you and she says, well, I'm not really the one who follows the sport that much, but I do believe I heard that there is a new champion. I know that they have resumed the gladiatorial games, so I would presume that they have a champion at this point. After all, you have, for all intents and purposes, everybody has presumed that you have retired.
Oh, that's not even close to true. And he cracks his knuckles, and the disguise self flickers on and off for a bit. I think I'm gonna go reclaim my title soon.
And she looks and well, now
yes, there's
that's
been
different.
some changes.
Definitely. Well, I dare say that you all won't find changes in Waterdeep as drastic as Calabar's changes have been, but I think you'll be quite pleased with the progress that has been made since you last saw the city. And
Well, unfortunately, last time I saw the city was 7+ years ago. A few passing comments makes it sound like there's been a lot of changes.
Oh,
Well, let's go exploring, huh?
Have you never been here?
Where?
Here.
Waterdeep.
Oh yeah, I think. Yeah.
I figured. He turns to Blackstaff again, and he says, "I figured that you're probably the person to ask. How would I get an audience with the Paladins of Bahamut?"
Well, I would think you should just go to the Temple of Bahamut and okay. Oh, I think you have that name in your. No, you don't have that name. And I thought I had written it down, but I didn't. So let me go do this.
Galabar does have a friend that is a
Right,
Paladin of Bahamut,
right.
but
She wouldn't know that. She would have no way of knowing that. So what she would do instead is she would point you to. Whoops. She would suggest that you go to the Temple of Bahamut and that you would look for Lord yeah, that's good. Lord Hodaf Vusk. And he is the what amounts to the high priest at the temple. So Lord Vusk, high priest at the Temple of Bahamut in Waterdeep. Okay, there you go.
Okay. After he gets that answer, he's going to pull out the sending stone and essentially just send a message to his mother saying, "Hey, I've arrived in Waterdeep. I have some things I need to take care of, but if you will let me know where you are, I will meet you later."
And the message you get back is, you mean there's something more urgent than coming and visiting your mother? That's a bit disappointing, son. But
Galabar looks kind of sad for a bit, knowing he disappointed his mother.
but I suppose I've waited this long to see you. I can wait a bit longer. And she kind of gives you that answer, and she never gets around to telling you where to meet her. So it's
We'll just check
it's
her
kind
house.
of it's kind of one of those. Oh, you never write, you never call, and then when you do, it's always to say, "Oh, just wait a little while, and then I'll be there." What a poor mother has to go through.
The sending stones work both ways. I can cast it once per day, and so can she.
Well, all right.
That means she can literally use it again to tell me.
All right, and so as Galabar, does that sending, and then he obviously gets a response back, and he does that thing you all can see where he's kind of rolling his eyes like, "Oh, Mom," kind of has that reaction. On that note, that's where the curtain will fall on this session of Walker of Waterdeep. And with the party in Waterdeep itself. And we will pick up next time with the party going about doing the various different things that they need to do here. Over the next few sessions, we're going to have more kind of small group things that will be going on. There will be because I think everybody has sort of a wish list of things they want to do here, and not all of them will be going together to do things. We also have one of the players will be traveling and will be unavailable for the next couple of weeks. And then we have 2 weeks coming up later this month that we will not be having sessions because I have conflicts on those Sunday afternoons. So we will play again next Sunday. We will be off the 16th. We will be back the 23rd, where we will be off the 30th, and then we'll be back the first Sunday in June. So the 16th, and then Memorial Day weekend, we will be off.
I will.
All right.
Going on a fishing trip, and then I'll miss a couple of episodes. Yeah.
Have fun.
Yeah, well, it's kind of if anybody has to be traveling, this is kind of a good time to do it because there will be more sort of focus on what individual people are doing, so that it won't be as much of a disruption as if we were like in the middle of a big battle or something like that.
Yeah, I'm bringing it up because it's going to be a special episode, right, Gally, for our listeners? Or two?
Yes, there will be some YouTube only content that will drop in the feed, probably on the week of the 23rd. One of the little side stories that we'll be doing, and Ken, if you can, through the Discord, send me kind of a schedule of when you're available and when you're not available, so that I can make sure I carve out time to get with you during the time that you are available, so that we can do that. And then I'll put it in the feed kind of where it slots in along with the rest of the stuff that's going on. All right. Viewers, thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. We really appreciate you being with us today. Sorry about the technical issues right after the break. I'm not sure what happened, but Twitch just seems to have decided it was going to, get annoying with us. Tomorrow night, I will be back at 8 p.m. Eastern Time with a Monster Monday that's going to be focused on the Basilisk. No, not the Basilisk. We did that last week. On the Beholder. So the Beholder this week. And that will also include kind of a discussion of Beholder Kin as was expounded on in 5th edition with, I believe it was either Volo's or Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes that kind of gave us a whole new bunch of Beholderkin that you can use in your campaigns. And then Thursday night, we'll be back with the Sword Coast Chronicles. And then Saturday night, we will actually begin our 2nd edition game with the folks that are going to be going through the original Temple of Elemental Evil. So that 2E campaign will happen 7:30 p.m. on Saturday evening. And in case anybody's wondering the reason that the reason that we're going to be skipping a couple of sessions between now and we'll have periodic skips all the way to the end of like October, I believe it is because the sports league that I have season tickets for, they have put out their schedule, and there are home games on the dates that we will be missing. And since I've paid for season tickets and they're allowing fans back in the stands, by golly, I'm going to use those season tickets and go to the games. And so I will be there watching sports ball instead of running D&D.
You know what? Even the DM needs a break every now and then.
Yeah. So that'll be kind of fun, and we will talk to everybody next Sunday, if not before. Hope that we will see some of you guys at some of the other streams. And don't forget, we do have the YouTube channel where all the archives are. So if you want to catch up on the older shows, you can do that. And let's see, we have okay, what do we have going on here? Oh, somebody's playing Vampire the Masquerade.
Hey guys, I gotta take off. Bye everybody.
All right, take care.
Bye.
So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna raid Jamie herself. And everybody, go ahead and take care. Have a great week, and we will talk to you soon. Good night, everyone.